What's up, CHFFL, and welcome to this special post-draft presentation. Two tight ends will unfortunately not be able to do their usual post-draft recap, so Wes, Mark, Big Paw, and Stan got together and produced a roundtable discussion of this week's draft. Hope everybody enjoys it, and good luck everybody as we start the new season. I'll turn it over to the guys now.
Wait a
Did
minute,
you
you gotta
start the
restart.
wrong one?
Yeah, dude, I was like, almost got this out of it. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Can we restart?
I kind of think we should just leave it all in.
I think we should just do it. Yep, just keep it in.
Here
we go. Fucked up.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
As they say, second time's a charm. Paw with the introduction here. CHFFL crew, we are coming to you kind of live from all of our individual homes. Our gracious host tonight is Mark Jones, getting to set this together. And he invited myself, Parker, and Stan. And we're going to take over the draft recap for our friends Bill and Grant. Grant is pretty busy with his wrestling, and I think he should probably change his name if it's Butt Touchers. Probably not good for a wrestling coach. But that's not the last time we're going to be throwing shade at Grant tonight. So, but in all actuality, hey, we definitely appreciate you guys doing the podcast last year, so we wanted to take it upon ourselves to try to add a little bit of more flavor and spice to it tonight. Hopefully that you guys get back onto it here soon. With that being said, I think we're going to move on to power rankings, how it switched after the draft. So we have Ing's current power rankings from before the draft, and those are Bill 1, Ing 2, Mark 3, Brad Bannis 4, Paw 5, Stan 6, myself 7, Swan 8, Max 9, Minnie 10, Marty 11, and Grant 12. So to start this discussion off, we're all going to talk about how our power rankings are here after the draft. And I think that we're going to start off with Stanley because his mustache is looking fierce.
Yeah. So my number one, which is a bit of a change up, I think Engler stole the draft. I think he moved into the number one spot after the draft. I think he overtook Bill for the reason that Bill took a lot of great players, but he's going to be in a point where he's just not going to know what to do week to week. And I don't know if you guys feel the same, but that's how I'm feeling with the draft.
I agree completely about Bill. Not to throw any shade at you, Bill, but I just don't like personally what you did with the picks. Like having Zamir White as your RB2, having all them picks in the. I know running backs went really quick, but yeah, that's just how I feel.
I actually have the same rankings as Stan to start off. I have them flipped. I have Engler first and then Bill second as well for the exact same reasons that these guys laid out. Having such great capital, Bill, that is, at the beginning of the draft and coming up with Zamir White has his RB2 and then what is it, Cook for his RB1, it just leaves a lot to be desired for the assets that he had. And, we were talking about this a little bit when we were getting started. Bill might have 5 wide receiver ones, but at the end of the day, he can only start 3 of them. So he's putting himself behind the 8 ball by not at least playing hero RB, unless he thought Cook was that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys. I think, but the one thing, I think Bill's probably counting on is Bill's going to be able to wheel and deal a little bit here. So, well, it's definitely one of those, probably the strategy of just take the best available and move on. Parker, I think we'll get to your team at some point too, but I feel like you probably did that a little bit with running back and are probably looking at some point to flip some running backs into wide receivers and make it all happen. But while I don't think anybody's complete, I agree with you guys. I do think Ing definitely kind of jumped to that top spot for the time being. especially with the way his
I
team
actually
shook
have.
out.
Sorry to cut you off. I actually have you as the number one team, Mark. Looking
Cheers.
at what I have, looking just over at the lineup, I really like your core of Kyron, Chase, Brown, and then obviously Cup and the flex. I mean, I think those are the best three. Personally, I think those are the best three wide receivers in the league, with a pretty solid RB there. And then Andrews obviously is a tight end. I just think you have the best core. You might not have the most depth, but I think you got the highest upside as far as your core part of your team. So I actually have you ahead of Ing.
Yeah, and we'll kind of go through everybody's teams here as do like a draft recap, but I'll give some more details to what my thoughts were going into the draft and probably what happened there. But I think I've quickly flipped into, well, I guess it's looked like Kyron's gonna be my running back one again, and we'll see what happens again.
So Parker and Mark, who were your guys' number 1, number 2 ranks?
I had Ing and then myself. So
Okay, and Paw?
I have Mark, and then I have Swan.
Okay,
Ooh.
so
On.
we have 3
got
Ings
Swan.
at number 1. So let's go ahead and go through Ing's team here. Luckily, I get to play him in week 1. Fucking thrilled. Hopefully the transcript's not on. Sorry, Mark.
I turned the transcript off.
PG.
But no, we don't have to now. But okay, so guys, we're sitting there. We're all having a great time. Draft. Engler takes Saquon Barkley at what, 3 or 4 overall? What was it, 3?
Yeah, I thought he was going to be there for me at 8.
Yeah. So, and then mayhem ensues. So Engler just started the onslaught of just running back, like reaching is what it felt like. But it didn't look like that was like the smartest move for him, because he could have got something again when he was up at 9. But he played the board directly like to his hand, having known that he has Nico. I'm not a big Nico guy personally. I am a really big Jalen Waddle guy though, and I think Tank Dell's a beast as well. And then Sam Laporta is going to come into the season as a tight end 1. He's keeping him at 12th. I think that Engler went in with a strategy. He was waffling and stuff. I think when he acquired that second first-round pick, like, am I going to get Barkley back there? And he went and got his guy, and he's got the best team right now, I think.
Yeah, and I think for me, one steal, even though Waddle is a second rounder for him, I think Waddle's going to have a bounce back year. He had a tough year. He was hurt a lot. I mean, he is kind of hurt right now coming into the season. But if he could stay healthy, he could be a top 12 or top 6.
You sound so professional. You sound like you're like doing a job interview right now.
Stan's
That's
like,
the way
I
I feel.
I think Waddle's healthy. He can have a bounce back year, but he's questionable right now.
No, Stan, just say Tyreek Hill's going to get hurt, okay? That's all you got to say. Tyreek Hill's going to pull a hammy. He's going to be out like 3 or 4 games, and Jalen Waddle's going to be the guy.
Listen, I love Tyreek, and I didn't take Tyreek at 3. I took CD over him. So that should right there tell you.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Last thing I'll say about Ing, and then we can move on here. I was looking at AJ Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs at the 8th pick there, and when I went AJ Brown, I was just kind of a little bit off of Gibbs, but it was funny to see Engler go running back to start, and then just kind of knowing that he had the deep keepers of the Houston Texans wide receivers, just kind of let everything come together nicely. So cool. Where do you want to go next, Wes?
Alrighty, so I think we have between Bill and Mark. We've been throwing a lot of shade at Bill, so let's give him a break real quick. Let's go to Mark's team here. Mark is going to be it sounds as if the consensus 2. He's either 3 or 1 or 2 in our rankings. So Mark, and also guys here for our teams, whenever we get to them, we should also talk about our team names as a little teaser too. We're going to go over everybody's team name real quick. So Mark, first off, you gave us a little bit of a background. Can you talk about your team name?
So, I don't know about you guys, but I think my first PlayStation games that I really, really loved were Crash Bandicoot. So I was all in. Stan, I feel like we used to play this at your house all the time.
All day,
But,
right after
I was like,
second year of kindergarten.
Yeah, I was looking around for a good Crash Bandicoot character, and then I was like, Akua Kua. Oh my goodness, this is perfect. And then I Googled Akua Kua for an image, and then it brought up the Spirit and how it's there to guide the good Crash Bandicoot characters against evil. And I was just like, hello. Like, what this is
Perfect.
My team guiding against evil and trying to win a championship this year. So I thought it fit perfectly.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this the guy in the games that would always go, oh, Umaga?
Yeah, but it was also the mask thing. Whenever you would get the special character and you would be like superpowers.
Oh no,
and you
I
had
know
the
the mask, but like I know like
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was him. He came in at the
So that's
end
what
too
it
when we
was.
finished a
Instead of,
round.
I always thought it was Umbaga. It's a Kukua. Okay.
So
Makes sense.
So yeah, I don't think I really knew it was a Kua until I looked this up. So all right,
Right?
I'll kind of go through my my draft as I was going through it. So one, Jamar Chase in the third as a keeper. I'm really scared he's not going to play now for like a couple weeks,
It's terrifying.
which
That's
might
honestly
change
the reason
things.
why I had you bumped down to 3 is because
Yeah, no, I totally understand because once I got those 3 wide receivers, I kind of went away from wide receiver for a little bit, thinking like, all right, I need to really load up on the rest of the roster. But for me, the weird part was I was always thinking running back in the first round, and then there was 9 players, or yeah, like 8 or 9 players that I was like super into, and I thought for sure like Jonathan Taylor or Saquon would be there at 8, and that's where I was going to go. Nope. So when that was gone, I just kind of said, screw it, we're going wide receivers. And then the second round, I was always thinking Cup, and I was just happy that he actually fell there because it was Cup or Josh Jacobs was kind of where my mind was in the second, and then it was let the rest of the draft come to you. So, what do you guys think of Tony Pollard?
In hindsight, I'll trade you AJ Brown for Jonathan Taylor.
Well, hey man, hey, wait, what was that? Your 7th pick, right? Or 7th overall?
Yeah, 7 for 8. It's a fair
We didn't
trade.
trade
Right before you.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it, Parker. Let's not make
Parker,
wheel and
accept
deal
my
on this
trade.
pod. I have a question for you
I
guys.
love to answer your question. I love Tony Pollard.
Okay, that's what I was kind of like curious on what you guys' thoughts were because I'm kind of in between. Like, obviously, it was not the year he wanted in Dallas as the running back 1, but he was also coming off an injury. That's what I was kind of like, if this works out, and then worst case, I think the stash of Jonathan Brooks hopefully comes back week 5 and starts to take over as the RB1. But that was kind of my thoughts as I was working through this one. My panic draft was Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Mike Williams was right before that, and
that.
Grant took him, and then I was just like, oh no, that was just who I was thinking this whole time, and then my mind went blank. I always kind of wanted Fields, but when I got to about 20 seconds left and I didn't have somebody, I just literally typed in his name and hit go, and I just move on, whatever.
Was it like
Yeah,
a 9th round pick? What round did you get him in?
I think
So
11.
he took him at 11-8. 11-8.
Yeah.
11-8.
Some
Okay.
Here's the players that went after him that make it questionable. Wes, you took Jalen Wright, and then Gabe Davis, Rashid Shaheed, Curtis Samuel, Tyrone Tracy, Tyson Taylor, Kendre Miller. So I mean, but
So
yeah, I don't know.
I have
So
I have
Take a
Jalen Wright.
backup quarterback to be your backup running. You take
So-
a backup quarterback to be your backup quarterback.
So, and my only thought is if Fields was the starting quarterback for the Steelers, where would he have gone in drafts? Like, I don't think any
Top
other.
10.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I don't
You're
know.
right. You're right.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm probably gonna end
Top
up
10.
dropping him at some point, so we'll see what happens.
For sure.
I do say my favorite pick that you had was Dobbins. The poor guy's never been healthy this whole career, and he is an athlete. Parker was high on him for multiple years. I mean, how many times did you keep him hoping that he was going to turn into something? And really, is he Gus Edwards is better than him?
It's a 9th round pick. Like, I was
Him
just
and
like,
Aaron Rodgers, they were all together on that. They did their voodoo magic. They're going to be good.
oh, so you don't get
Trust me, I'm a
starting
big
running backs in the
Dobbins
9th.
fan. Yeah, no,
No.
I'm a big Dobbins fan, but the real guys can meet me Vidal. That's going to be the starter by week 7, right, Wes?
I mean, he could be yours. You give me my guy, you son of a bitch.
All right, let's move on here.
All right. Well, so real quick there on Mark, your team. So we talked about Chase being a concern, and then basically the rest of your team being PPR machines. How are you feeling about depth, though? Is there like a position of concern for you?
So I think running back, like, I'm going to need Jonathan Brooks to bounce back. I did get Bucky Irving. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, like, I think running back I worry about. I actually feel real good about Josh Palmer and Jameson Williams as, like, plugs for wide receivers. But the goal is I'm going to be riding Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Mark Andrews, and Cooper Kupp. Like that's going to need to produce 70 plus points most weeks. So if
Yeah,
that can
man.
happen, I think we'll be all right.
I love it. All right, so we've covered Ing's team and Mark's team. Let's look over at Bill's team. So I think that he would be the consensus top 3 as well. As we've detailed here so far, I think all of us wanted to see much more of a super team coming out of what he's done. And as we've been talking about it and stuff, like, you know, he might have, like we said, 5 wide receiver ones, which is amazing. And he's going to be able to Mark's point, be able to have 70 points from 3 positions each week. But is James Cook and Zamir White going to really be able to carry the load? And I understand that he has Chubb in the IR, but Chubb's no guarantee to be even able to play this year. Like, he's going to come back, but can he actually play? I think, you know, how Mark already put, he's going to have to be active in trades is the best way for him to make the team a super team. And he has the ammunition to do it.
Yeah, so
For sure.
I think if you talk about Bill's wide receivers, I mean he's stacked. There's no doubt about it. And I think if you believe in James Cook, your RB2 is a little less of a thing. Especially he has, I don't know where you guys have like a top 1 tier of QBs, but Jalen Hurts has to be in it.
Yeah.
So I think Bill was just kind of going with, I got the, you know, QB who's going to be a stud,
I agree.
a running back 1 in James Cook. I mean that's one that kind of has to play out, and then just the best depth wide receiver group that we have in our league. That RB2 is going to be tough, though. I think it's a classic case of expectations, right? If
Yeah.
you know, like you said, we're expecting to look at Bill's roster and just think, "Holy crap, is anybody going to beat Bill this year?" And I don't think anybody's feeling to that level.
No, and I think that our rankings reflect that.
I will say,
Go ahead, Paul.
I think he needs to fix his internet.
I was going to say I think Javon and Zamir are kind of interchangeable there too. We all know I'm a pretty big James fan.
Yeah.
But I guess my big concern for him would be the age of some of his wide receivers, like Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Tyreek. Like they're right at that point where people start to kind of drop off a little bit, and I would just have that concern that what are the chances that all 3 of them fall off? But it's higher than the probability of 0. So.
Yeah, that's why they have the age cliffs. Like, this is a reason why these things are studied when we play as much fantasy football as we do. So the one thing about the rankings that I did not take into consideration, obviously just as a post draft, is keeper value. So when we look at Bill's team, is that not something that jumps off the page that what is he going to keep Jaden Reed in the 6th as his only keeper potentially next year? So Bill might actually have to sell down on some of those wide receivers where he might not be able to get the same running back value because he might have to get a pick back. He might have to sell one of those receivers and be like, hey, like throw in 6 and I'll take this, you know, fringe RB1 for one of his wide receiver ones. It's just something that he's probably going to want to think about.
He still has Cade in the 8th.
Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, so he's still
has,
got tight end.
Yeah, so like
he's not,
and possibly Thomas in the 4th.
Yeah,
Dalton
I like
Kincaid
Brian
might
Thomas.
be the wide receiver 1 for the Buffalo Bills. So it's
I think, you know, one of those like let future Bill can worry about those problems. He's got to worry about getting wins to start the year. You know,
for sure.
It's always one of those tough ones.
But in my mind, if I was him, I know I have my one keeper. Like we only have to keep one guy. I know I got Kincaid. The rest is okay.
Yeah, I just didn't see. I missed that one. Yeah, that's a good call. All right, guys. So what are your 4, 5, and 6 rankings here? So we got the 1, 2, and 3 done.
So I'll go first. I have Mark at 4, me at 5, and you, Wes, at 6.
I have Stan 4, Brad Bannis 5, Swan at 6.
So I have Brad, Paw, and Stan.
Brad Bannis or Swan?
Bannis. Brad and Jordan.
Okay. And then Swan, Paul actually had up at 2, so we need to like make sure we remember that.
So I'll just give you my top 6. Yeah, because like I'm obviously the most different here. I'm being more eccentric, I guess. But I got Mark, Swan, Brad, and Jason, Ings, and Bill. So I'm the most out of all you guys. Yeah. So I'm very out there.
All right.
Jeez, Paul.
So you don't
Can't wait to
forget
hear
about
all the
Swan.
takes on that.
Let's go talk about Swan. Because I have him at 6, and Paul, you have him at 2. Mark and Stan, where do you guys have Swan?
7.
8.
Yeah, so I have Swan ranked above me and Paw, which is 2 spots higher than Engler's initial pre-draft rankings were. Obviously, Paw has him at plus 6 spots. That's going to be the biggest jump that I've seen so far. The one thing that I said about Swan's team, the reason why I have him at 6, is his team is a glass cannon. He has got the skinniest team available. Like he's got the skinny boy team. Like, you know, he's got Tua, he's got Devonta Smith, he's got Achane. It's just like he might have a starting lineup that is like under 1,000 pounds, and like there's not another team like that there. But those guys can also put up some serious points. So, Paul, I'm really curious to see like what you have to say because you have him ranked the highest.
Well, before I get to my ranking, this is literally what Swan's teams are in Madden. He has all the fastest guys on the field, and he'll run around with Kyler Murray and do whatever, and then chuck it deep to Justin Jefferson and just piss you off. So I'm probably the highest on Kyler, going to the actual why I have him at 2. I think Kyler Murray is going to be a top 3 quarterback this year, which is really scary to think. Swan's going to have him for potentially 4 more years at a really good value if he stays healthy.
What a great pick last year.
Yeah, that was very good foresight. But I'm really high on Kyler. Obviously, I like Achane. Swift, I think, is going to be a better than expected RB2. And then looking at the wide receivers, I like Devontae Smith as his flex and Marvin Harrison. It's always questionable having a rookie and as your wide receiver too, but I think the volume's going to be there. And then Jefferson, obviously, you know, I know in our league he wasn't drafted, but I think in general people are maybe a little bit too much down on him this year. He's going to get the ball. He's going to put up his numbers. And I really like Swan's bench. I don't know why he has 2 quarterbacks. That would be the one thing. I don't know why he did that. Maybe just pick Tua to have his name. But I really like Gus Edwards and Jerome Ford as his kind of backup running backs. I think Jerome Ford, we talked about Chubb a little bit earlier. I think Ford's going to have a really big year. And I think I'm higher on Gus Edwards than all you guys, especially Stan. Stan's talking up Dobbins. But Edwards has always been a machine. They have Greg Roman. He's going over to the Chargers, and he's a Greg Roman guy. So
They get
the
down
only
to the
thing I'd be
5-yard
worried
line,
about,
Gus Edwards getting 3 carries. Like that's what they're going to do.
exactly. The only thing I'd be worried about is his wide receiver depth, but Swan will figure that out. So.
Now, one of those players that you just talked about is probably one of the more volatilely ranked player, and Devon Achane. Now, I have Devon Achane in Dynasty, and at the beginning of the year here before draft, I wanted to get rid of him. Now I sit and look at my Dynasty team, and I'm like, that's a fucking nuke. Why did I want to get rid of this guy? And I look at the Swans team, I'm like, that it's like, oh shit, like this guy like might only touch the ball 15 times a game, and that's probably all he should do. He's 178 pounds. But like he was averaging 9 yards a carry. Is that sustainable? Maybe in this Mike McDaniel's offense. So, you know what I mean? Like it might be. But also like he's not gonna have to carry the load. You got Mostert and Wright there. Those guys are all gonna rotate through. They should be fresh all year.
In Swan's team's that team that I see 1 week, he's going to score like 200 points. I mean, he's going to hit on Kittle that week. It's going to be Achane that week. Like, it's just going to be everyone. And Swan seems to always have a team like that can just blow up and score a ton of points at any time. But then he can score 90 points the very next week, and it would not surprise you at all. That's how I always view Swan. He is just a loose cannon. You have no idea what's going to happen when you play him.
So Swan won the championship, in 2020? It wasn't too long ago, correct?
It was pretty recent, yeah.
I want to say 20. Yeah, I don't know which. 2020, 2019. I don't know. Manning had that year. Manning won, but Swan will contest. He won.
Oh yeah, it was a COVID year or whatever.
Yeah.
We all
What was
agreed.
it? The game, the Chiefs and Bills game?
Damar
Oh.
Hamlin game.
Yeah.
Oh, the Damar Hamlin. Yeah. Turned
No, Stan,
Swan into a Penn State fan. He's like, fuck Pitt.
I do think you're spot on. I feel like over the last couple of years, you don't decide if you win Swan's matchup. His team does, which is always funny. But Achane and Swift, I mean, like those are really electric backs, but it's a little terrifying if those guys get banged up because now you're down to Gus Edwards, and I'm with you, Paul. I think Jerome Ford is going to have a good year, but as the year goes on, does Chubb just get back to a split share? So who knows?
Yeah, and I'm definitely not high on Swift. I know, like Paul said, he likes him, but like, there's a reason the guy's he's playing on his third team in 3 years.
He got paid.
I mean, yeah, and like in fantasy football, like we've been taught to follow the money, but for the last few years, that hasn't been, as much of the canary to success. All right,
Yeah.
so covered Swan in some pretty good detail there. Swan, good job drafting, man. Great team.
Well done.
All right, so let's go to one of the guys here, Stan. I have you at 4. Paul, where do you have Stan at?
I got Stan at 5.
Mark?
6.
Stan?
I have myself at 5.
Okay, so I have you the highest at 4. So Stan, tell us about your team, buddy.
Yeah. The whole time I was kind of playing, I wanted Robinson. Didn't really want him. I just don't think he's going to be as high of a running back as everyone thinks he is. So I wanted CD the whole time. And I can't believe he fell to me. I thought he was for sure going to be gone. Like I said, my man got paid a ton of money and he's going to come out and ball out. And I'm thrilled about that. I like Josh Jacobs a lot. Josh Jacobs is now the sole running back. Now that Legatron or whatever the hell his name is got on the IR for the year. So I think with Jordan
Quadzilla.
Love, he's a good receiving back. He had one bad season.
Not Greg Zerline.
Yeah,
AJ
Greg
Dillon.
Zerline's Legatron.
Not
What's
Greg Zerline.
Quadzilla or whatever they call him?
Quadzilla.
There we
AJ
go.
Dillon.
Yeah, AJ Dillon.
Yeah.
But Mark, like you said, you had one panic one. Mine was Lamar Jackson. I saw him there. I wasn't sure if I was sold on him, but I'm not upset about it. But I don't know if I would do it again with Lamar. But
Where did you get Lamar Jackson? I'm looking at the board.
410.
That's good value.
Yeah, that was the only one that like I kind of panicked and took. Everyone else I kind of had a plan for the whole way down through, and then I had my receivers kind of squared away already, and then running back started to go, and I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. Najee, I'm not sure about him. I'm hoping it's a contract year for him that he's going to do something, and Russell Wilson will be our savior, but I'm not sold on that either. So I mean, I feel good about my team. I have good depth at wide receiver, couple good running backs. Chuba could do me a couple good weeks at the beginning of the season. I think he will tail off at the end, but overall, I'm happy with it. I'm not disappointed with any of the picks or anything like that. I will have 2 good tight ends, so hopefully can use that for trading with a running back to get a better running back towards the end of the season, hoping that it will be towards a playoff run. So we're going to find out how this works out.
Yeah, and I have you ranked the highest, Stan. And that's really because you got CeeDee Lamb at 4. I also, you have 2 of my fantasy guys or my dynasty guys that we'll probably talk about a little bit here. But CD is, in my opinion, going to be, he's got the best chance to be wide receiver 1 again. He's got no competition on the field. He should see a shit ton of balls.
Yeah.
But one guy that I'm probably the highest on is Najee Harris. I love Najee's outlook this year. I mean, he's got 3 1,000-yard rushing years, and everybody wants to talk about it's all decline. It's like, yeah, they gave him the ball 400 times his rookie year. They were just running him into the ground because it was Roethlisberger's last year. But then they tailed off because it's not sustainable. They wouldn't have done that if they didn't want to keep the guy. I also understand that you can't pay him the 5th-year option for running back either. I think that it was just a really good move from the Steelers front office, and you haven't heard from Najee. So obviously there's conversations going on within that building to keep him motivated and on track. So at Ing's wedding, Mark and I did a dynasty trade, as well as doing a trade for draft picks that night. Ing, I was all over the place for your wedding. But 15 minutes later, Jalen Warren goes down. Now, we know hamstrings can be tricky, but I don't think it's going to be super, super serious. The one thing, though, I do think is that Najee Harris had to play in a lot of 9-man boxes last year because our quarterback play has been dog shit. I mean, we're talking about bringing Russell Wilson in and doubling the touchdown production of the entire team. Not just Kenny Pickett. The Steelers threw 13 touchdown passes last year. That's fucking ridiculous. So, just that in itself, you're not going to be playing against these 9-man boxes, people all the way down. And then you're going to bring over the guy who basically coached Derrick Henry to what he was in his most successful years. And I see Najee as that kind of guy. And also, Najee's a finisher. We also know, at the end of the season, nobody wants to tackle Najee. It's he's got all the strength in the world. The foot is healed. Everything's feeling good. And he's just running fuckers over. So that's why I have you so high. Good thing that transcript's off, baby. I'm talking about Najee. I'm talking about Steelers football.
Yeah, I need Wes as a spokesman for my team all
Yeah,
the time. This is
man.
nice.
Stan, I agree
that's
with
why I had you so high, Stan, is because you had one of my favorite wide receivers is also one of my my guys. When I do a hot take, I'd say Najee's going to finish in the top 10 this year, and I don't think that's outside of his realm of outcomes. So I think that you set yourself up pretty well.
So I'm going to come back to the Najee stuff. But first, I think Lamar in the fourth is really good value, Stan. I think you're going to be very happy with that as the year goes on. It's a lot better panic pick than mine. Rashid Rice. So we missed one key thing here. Stan, your name.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about
Sorry. Yeah, that's Need for Speed was always one of my favorite games to play back in the day on PS2. And it was perfect. I mean, and luckily it's looking like he's going to be in for the whole season. So it's his revenge tour right now. He's got to prove himself that he is ready to go. So,
buddy, do you not see the glaring miss that you could have had Need for Speed Racers Revenge, the fucking Japanese cars Racers? You were there, man.
I could have. Didn't think of it.
All right, so let's talk Najee, because I think the rest of your team is really solid, Stan.
Oh, you bitch.
Najee's 3 years here. First year in the league. PPR, half PPR. What do you guys want to speak to? We'll speak to PPR. It's all of our leagues.
Yeah.
Running back 3. Second year, running back 14. Third year, running back 23.
Quarterback play.
You're talking about Matt Canada offenses and stuff. You got to look at the whole picture, not just the finish. Also, he finished as running back 3. Roethlisberger was the quarterback, and he had 350 some carries, I think, that year.
So it's 307 for 1,200, 272 the next year, and then 255 the year after that.
So yes, they actually have another viable running back that can actually take carries. I mean, who was the turd from Maryland that they had his rookie year?
Yeah,
Anthony McDonald.
Yeah. McFarland.
And I'll just
McFarland.
So don't get me wrong. I think Najee's a good running back. I just think Jalen Warren's better. That was why I made the trade with you in Dynasty.
I think
We'll see
Jalen
how-
Warren's more explosive.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's better. But that's we both got a guy when it comes to Dynasty, we both got a guy that we believe more in. So it was made, it was perfect.
For sure.
When it comes to the trade.
I agree with you on that.
And when I
Yeah.
look at the two guys that were taken before him and after him, Nick Chubb was taken before him, and then
Yeah.
Zamir White after him. I'm pretty happy with my outcome of that.
If Bill
I
has Najee Harris instead of Chubb in his IR right now, then yeah, he's ranked number 1 in my book.
I think the thing you're going to get with Najee, he's going to give you a great floor, but not the ceiling, which is great for an RB2.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's going to be my hot take. Najee's going to be in top 10 back.
That is a hot take.
All right, let's move on here. Stan, anything else?
That's all I got for it. Appreciate the kind words, Wes.
All right, no problem, buddy. All right, so I think all of us have Brad Bannis here would be the next highest ranked team. I have him ranked 5th, and it was tough for me to rank either Bannis or Stan above each other. I thought they were pretty equal. Brad did a really good job. He had obviously a really nice board as well. Not as many picks as high value as Bill, but he was able to build a much more diverse roster, in my opinion. You get Bijan Robinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, you might have RB1 wide receiver 1. So, guys, what are we thinking about Banis's team here?
I'll jump in. I had Brad as third on my board.
As do I.
Pretty much for what you said, Wes. I mean, like,
Me too.
just the 2 picks and to be able to get Bijan and then come back and get Amon-Ra. I looked at Amon-Ra multiple times and thought, oh, like early in this, there's maybe a chance he falls to 8. And I was like, there's no way. Like, we play with entirely too many good people that someone's going to scoop him up. So I think, like you said, Wes, those 2 really anchor the whole entire team. And then for a PPR, like, Diggs is a great upside play. I mean, who knows? He might fall off a cliff like he did for me last year and destroyed my team. Or, might actually come through as like a top 5 wide receiver. And then, I think Joe Mixon is kind of washed. I mean, he's going to get all the volume. So I think there's a good chance for his team. I think there's a good chance for this team to just like consistently put up, 130 plus and just be really, really good all year.
Yeah, and so
looking a little
Brad
bit more in depth
came
into his team,
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, sorry, we might have a little bit of a delay here on my microphone, but looking at his team a little bit more in depth, I might actually have him a little bit too low. I have him third as well, like Mark. But I really like his depth. Just going right to his bench. Not that anybody's gonna say anything about the Giants' offense this year, but he has both the Giants running backs. They might be able to do something. But I really like Ridley on his bench and Deontay Johnson. I think both of them. If Diggs starts falling flat, I think you can plug in Diggs and not Diggs. I'm sorry, Ridley and Deontay Johnson instead of Diggs and Ayuk, and I think his team's just as good. I think you can interchange those 4 in any which way you want.
I like Deontay Johnson as a pick there. I think if I didn't have the PTSD of him catching a ball past the first down sticks and then running backwards, I would have really targeted him more. But something about those years of watching him play just kept sticking in my mind.
Yeah, he's good for 6 and 60 each week, and in PPR, like that's the floor you're looking for.
For
sure. Your wide receiver 5, and then Calvin Ridley is the one on his team, and if Hopkins misses any times, you know that Will Levis likes to chuck the ball deep, so Ridley's going to be in a much more explosive offense. So he's coming off what did he finish last year? Anybody know off the top of their head? Like he was a wide receiver 1 last year, wasn't he?
Who?
Ridley, he averaged out to about that, yeah.
He had 230 points last year.
Yeah, so he's on his bench right now. So even with the Diggs pick, going for all upside, I as we sit here and have talked through each team, I would say that I probably having him at 5 just seems too low. But it's just this is why Engler's rankings make a lot more sense. You can keep people in the same tiers. Because I would keep, Banis, Stan, Mark, Bill all in the same tier, and then Engler a little bit higher.
Yeah, and Bowers, he's what, the highest rated tight end to ever come out of college football. He could be amazing. We have no idea. He's in Las Vegas. That's the only bad part about it. But he could be
Minshew mania.
Well, here's a question, guys. Do you think that the outlook on rookie tight ends is changed now because of the success the rookies had last year, especially Sam Laporta?
I think that's really tough because I think the situation really, really matters on this. It's the same kind of reason. I know everybody's freaking out about Marvin Harrison being the highest drafted rookie wide receiver ever. But I think because he's stepping into what we think is going to be a competent offense as the wide receiver 1, I think that's where a lot of that comes from. So I don't know if Bowers is stepping into the situation. I think he's going to be amazing and be really, really good for a long time and eventually be there. But I think his situation has to improve first.
Yeah.
And I think
go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
I'm just tight ends are kind of more into a hybrid type role. It's a transition to more of a slot receiver type role. So it's easier for them to be a top end tight end now because they are more in that role and less of a pass blocking option. And I think he's going to be that. He's going to be more of a wide receiver type tight end instead of a true tight end.
For sure. And like again, this is the guy that led Georgia, who's won multiple championships in pretty much every category from the tight end position. So we're talking about an unprecedented guy. And like, we want to look back at Kyle Pitts, and like he was overdrafted is the only reason that he's looked at as a failure. He had 1,000 yards receiving his first season, his rookie season. Pat Freiermuth, same tight end class, second round. He had 8 touchdowns rookie season.
Yeah.
So rookies have been performing. It's just when they become overdrafted. So do we know where Brad grabbed Bowers at?
6'11".
Oh, yeah, 6'11".
And with his board, that's a pretty good value, in my opinion. I think that he was able to build out a roster that he's trying to go for upside. And yeah, Brad, great job drafting there, buddy.
Yeah, I think
Don't forget Jason.
of all teams, I think he did the best drafting of everyone, given his circumstance. I mean, 2 first-round picks surely helps out.
All right. You guys want to move to Pa or Wes? This is my top 2 that I still have available. We didn't go over.
Yeah, I have Pa at 7 above me.
I have Wes at 6, Parker at 8.
Let's go, Wes.
All right. I do
Start
like
with
to
your
talk.
name.
So,
Since I forgot to do that.
yeah, thank you for the reminder, Stan. My team name is Run Rashada Run. As you guys know, I try to like do a Pokemon theme name off of our themes every single year. It's just kind of my shtick. Since we're doing N64, one of my favorite games, Pokemon Stadium, just because like the mini games were so stupid, so fun. One of the ones that was on there was Run Rattata Run. So stuck in a little bit of Rashada there and patted myself on the back. My picture is youngster Joey. If anybody played the original games, he was talking some mad shit, like one of the first trainers you battled. And he's at a level 3 Rattata. He's like a fucking bitch, dude. It's like, so that's like my, I got a fucking little Joey up there.
Such a nerd.
Yeah, dude. You know me. So, I think that my crown jewel on the team was Breece Hall. I was cackling last year when I got him at the turn in the 4th round. Exactly what I had hoped would happen. I think that anytime you see a guy have a devastating knee injury and then come back with a season the way that Breece did and just look stronger each week, and kind of the same nausea treatment only to the maximum, because like if you thought the Steelers quarterbacks were bad, the Jets quarterback situation was worse. So Breece Hall had the toughest situation. If Aaron Rodgers plays and they're able to spread out the offense, Breece is going to have some wide open lanes. He was my favorite running back coming into this year, just based off the talent and the situation, like how it's going to improve. And he finished, top 3 last year with the worst situation possible? Top 4.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and as a keeper, so I won't be able to keep him next year. Rachaad White, we know, was a PPR machine last year, kind of at that Alvin Kamara inefficiency bit. I'm kind of high on him because I have him in Dynasty too. I think this might be wishful thinking at this point, but I haven't seen anything that I think that's like more of a like name fatigue. Like everybody wants to talk about him. It's like, he's not efficient. He doesn't bust the big runs, so he's not good. And I think that a lot of like the people like don't actually watch the games, or it's like, no, they just didn't really have anything that was working at the time. I get it. Like Mike Evans has 1,000 yards receiving. Godwin's going to have 800 to 1,000 yards receiving, but like the offense really went through White last year, and it was successful. So I don't think that's going to change. I do think that I wouldn't say like reaches. I think I don't think I had a reach per se. I think that what I did do was go way too heavy on rookies, going all upside, but also because of my depleted draft stock this year, trying to put myself in a position for keeper value, trade value as I move forward. And I guess like my favorite draft pick was Dante. Never mind, I didn't get him. Yeah, so I think keeping George Pickens was fun too. All right, go ahead, guys. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I got 1 point. I really, my favorite pick you did was Mitchell. I think he's going to be the number 2 and probably number 3 rookie of the year behind Neighbors and Harrison. I think he's really going to come on. I mean, he was a beast at Texas, and they don't really truly have a true number two, Josh Downs, but I see him overtaking Josh Downs and being the true number two for Indy. So I think that was your best pick in the draft. I wanted him, but didn't get back around to me.
I think my best pick was Malik Neighbors. Couldn't believe that he fell to 4-4. I know like that's right where his consensus ADP is, but like given the keeper shift, I don't think he should have fell that spot. But that
Daniel
was
Jones can't throw a football though, because he can't even get it out of his hands before he gets sacked.
Listen, like talent comes out, man. Like it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, Wes, I think you had a really balanced team, like top to bottom. Stan, I'm with you. Like, I think Mitchell, Pittman, some of these guys. Am I missing something? Like, is Anthony Richardson going to be like good at throwing the football? No.
That's my thing. Yeah, I'm right there with you on Richardson.
Yeah,
But he
so
only played 6 games.
Yeah, AD was terrible. Like a guy I took because I have him in Dynasty too, and like I'm having a bad like habit of doing that shit. But it's just like I get hooked on guys, and like I just start rooting for them. And this is why fantasy's fun, because like when you fucking find someone that actually helps you win a championship, you're connected to them for life.
Yeah, so
Kamara.
I definitely do that too, Wes. I mean, see Jalen Warren. You know, it's definitely one of those things where like you get an idea of like somebody's gonna be good, and then you're like, I want them everywhere. What do you think about Pat Freiermuth?
I mean, it's just good value. What I did write on my own things is like 2 Steelers pass catchers that you're going to rely on a weekly basis is a very risky situation. That's why I have right now how I set my lineup for this discussion. I put Pickens on the bench with Malik Neighbors starting, and that a lot of that is like I think that Pat Freiermuth is going to have a more consistent role in the offense, but Pickens is I want to see what it looks like because you got a deep ball thrower in Russ. He only needs one.
Yeah, that's true.
But 2 Steelers pass catchers is risky.
If Jamar Chase holds out for a few games, you're gonna have a nice start here with T. Higgins.
Yeah, me and Paul were talking about that today actually too. That you know I took Malik Neighbors at 4-4, and I got Higgins a couple picks later as my second, 4th round pick at 4-9. And the players that went ahead of Higgins there were Keenan Allen and Terry McLaurin. And I know that Grant took Terry McLaurin because he was always intending on taking Jaden Daniels and he wanted to stack. So I don't mind the pick. The Keenan Allen pick, when T. Higgins is on the board and he's basically going to be a number 2 that's going to be a wide receiver, top wide receiver 2. And one of the more, expected high flying offenses. And he might be the wide receiver 1, given the current contract situation of the wide receiver 1, and he can hold that down. We've seen him in that role, and he's absolutely blown up. So it was just weird to see Keenan Allen go. I didn't think that T. Higgins would come back to me. Like I was considering him there at 4-4 because of his start of the season.
I think let's move our way over to Parker
to talk about West.
Oh, I was gonna say for your team. I think that was our other one that we had.
Team.
If you want to talk about my team, keep going. I'll listen all night.
It's like I do this all day.
I mean, just to add my thoughts on your team. I didn't really talk about your team. I'm probably the lowest on you. I have you down at 7, but
I have myself at 8, so I'm the lowest on me.
Okay. I mean, I'm probably higher on Devontae Adams than a lot of other people this year. I think he's gonna have a good year. I think Minshew is gonna force him the ball. But yeah, I mean, you got a solid squad. I just question the depth a little bit, but you touched upon that.
Yeah, a lot like same thing. We're going to transition over to your team. A lot of rookies. Yeah, let's flip over to Paul.
Wasn't by design.
I have Paul at 7 in my rankings. Stan?
I have him at 8.
I have Paul at 5. It might be more of respect to Paul than it is his actual team right now, though.
That
plays a factor in this.
The GM, yeah. Paul, where do you have yourself?
I have myself at 8.
Okay, so you and I are flipped on, like, we're looking at each other like ourselves the same way. So, Paul, tell us about your team name. Probably the most surprising team name.
It's not. I know
No,
you're
that's a
being
joke. Yeah,
sarcastic
that was a
there.
joke, though. I was being
But no, it's very generic right now. I've been putting a lot of thought into how to make it more teams involved. It might say that way, it might not, but I was a PlayStation guy when I was a kid. I never had an N64. I never really played on N64, so I know GoldenEye, but that's about it. So I'm just gonna keep it at that for now. And if I change it, I change it. If not, well, there we are.
fuck us.
Great
But
backstory.
talking about my team, the draft really didn't go how I thought it was going to go, but I'm sure everybody could say that. I really wish I would have taken A.J. Brown instead of Jonathan Taylor looking back, but I feel like I have probably potentially the strongest running back core in the league.
I would say you do.
I'm probably a little bit higher on Kenneth Walker than others. I really like undersold pickup of the year is the Seahawks picked up. I think it was a center from the Panthers last year. He was like Pro Football Focus is like top ranked run blocking center. So I'm really high on Kenneth Walker this year. I think instead of having his 3 rushes for 0 yards, 1 for 74, I think it's going to be a little bit more balanced. Moving on to the wide receivers. Yeah, we're kind of rookie heavy there with the Dunze and Coleman, but I will say I think the Bears are going to have a really strong offense this year, so I'm okay with the Dunze pick, especially with Keenan Allen looking like he might be a little bit over the hill, and Coleman, he's in one of the top offenses, so I'm satisfied there. And Dontavian Wicks, I'm very high on him this year. I think he's going to have a great year. Going to be the Packers' #1 wide receiver, right,
Fuck
Rod?
you.
Right, Wes?
Fuck you. That's my dude.
Yeah.
I love Dontavian Wicks. That's a great pick.
I think I got a little bit of work to do with wide receiver, but I think I have a really solid core with Josh Allen, the running backs, and Trey McBride. Actually, looking at my team a little bit more solid now. I might be a little bit lower on myself than I should be comparing myself to everybody else, but the wide receivers really scare me. That's the one thing.
Paul, when I was talking with you, that would be probably my biggest shock of the draft is that you went JT over AJ Brown. I could have sworn when AJ Brown fell to you that you were just running up there with it. What was going through your head there? Why did you take JT?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought Cooper Kupp was gonna fall to me in the second round. Thank you, Mark. I thought DK Metcalf was gonna fall to me at 3-3. Thank you, Max. So I thought I was going to have other wide receivers there later on, and I thought I was going to be able to fill out because I'm really high on those 2 guys this year. That's kind of why I snagged JSN in case DK has a little bit of hammy issues. Yeah, I'm really high on those 2 guys. So I honestly thought those are going to be my next 2 picks. So I had to pivot a little bit there after both of them being gone. So I really had a plan going into it, but obviously that plan blew up in my face, and I went for to have a strong running back if I could.
Parker, were you planning on going QB early, or did that just kind of happen when I took?
No, it's just I didn't like anybody else there. I didn't want to reach on DK then because I thought he was going to fall. I really truly thought he was going to fall to me at 3-3. But looking back, I'm not upset with the Allen pick. But yeah, maybe I would have rather taken DK there instead of Josh Allen. But here we are.
I think you're going to have
I'm not upset about it.
Your running backs and your QB, that's your 70 to 80 points a week floor.
Your team looks sexy with Allen.
A top tight end that could be the tight end 1 at the end of the year. The way that everyone's talking about Arizona's offense, just your receivers are really a crapshoot. I have no idea. Dunze could be great, but it's a crowded backfield. Coleman could be Josh Allen's one, but holy. What was that?
I agree with you, though, Parker, about Kenneth Walker being pretty high on him. Again, name fatigue, it seems like it plays a bigger role than anything. Like, this guy was successful every single year of his career. Like, he's had a couple bumps and bruises, but, like, he's electric. And, like, that Pete Carroll didn't like the fucking around and running around stuff. But, like, this new coaching staff understands, I think, is kind of like the consensus coming out of Seattle is that these guys are going to let the boys play. They like that.
All right, Parker. I feel like your team wide receiver wise, like week 1 is going to be some big overreactions. So like, what do you more likely? Rome has 1 for 10 yards, or like 7 for 100 and a touchdown. Week 1.
I'm gonna go 7 for 100 and a touchdown. That's more likely. I'm gonna be,
Really?
I might be a homer saying that, but I think him and Williams have a good connection. They did all those workouts, in the off season. I think, obviously I'm biased now, but I think he's already taken Allen for wide receiver 2. Now that could be completely wrong come first game, but
Yeah.
I just think the
I agree.
talent's there.
I think if he becomes like the wide receiver 1 there, like you're set.
Yeah, I mean, I would round it. I forget when I picked him. Let me look. I think I picked him in the 7th.
Well, we
I
can tune
like
into
that.
Hard Knocks here
When you got him.
and find out.
Hey man, yeah. If it was any
6,
other wide
2.
receiver year, Dunes would have been the top dog, and we would have been
For
talking
sure.
about him ad nauseum all year round. But he ends up coming out with Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. So
Yeah. And I'm high.
those
I
guys
was
went
just saying,
in the first round and the second round and the 4th round, and then you got yours in the what was it, the 7th?
6. I got both of those guys in the 6.
And Bill took Keenan Allen in the 4th before T. Higgins. So Bill's not going to stop catching strays here, buddy. All right, guys. So before anybody else have anything here for Parker's team, Max, Mark, any comments, favorite picks, guys you love, guys you hate?
Max, he ain't here.
Not Max, Parker's. What did I say, Mark? Max? Oh, Stan, sorry.
No, I think we can move on to the probably our bottom tier here.
Yeah,
Actually,
guys.
I think Max is in the next one. I mean,
Yeah,
like
before we
the
go to
middle
the
tier.
bottom third, though, let's have a conversation real quick. We talked about it before we started filming. What's everybody sipping on tonight?
I just
Mark,
have a
you
lead it
little
off.
Buffalo Trace.
I got a
Buffalo Trace.
single barrel store pick of Maker's Mark. Fantastic.
Stanley's on the Maker Mark Paw. He's got the Buff Trace.
I just have a box wine, Bodo Box Red Blend.
Build a box, red blend.
Bougie.
Costco, you said?
$15 for a box, four bottles.
Oh, shit, dude. You said it's
Great kid.
Costco?
Have fun with the headache in
Yeah.
the morning.
We don't have Costco's out here in Center PA, man. That
Drink this all the
sounds-
time, Pa.
I'm drinking a barrel-aged stout. It's an aphotic. It was actually barrel-aged in Buffalo Trace as well. Very oaky, very thick. I'm liking it.
No
What's
wonder
it,
you want
like
to do this. This
20%?
is like your living.
Yeah, a little bit. I took that a week off here, just getting ready for football season. Didn't drink any beer or anything last week. Felt nice and clear, clean and healthy. Getting ready for this tonight. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a beer with the boys.
Nice.
So we're gonna jump down here to the bottom team. I see what we got. We're at it's an hour and 8 minutes. I mean, it doesn't really matter. People can skip around if they want. Fuck them. I'm having fun talking.
Let's go to Max.
So let's go with Max. I have him at 9, so he'd be the first of this the bottom
Do
third.
do we want to do our bottom 4 together, or do we want to kind of leave it
That
to
sounds
the
good, Stan.
end?
What are your bottom 4?
Well,
I got
go ahead.
Max, Minnie, Grant, Marty.
That's exactly how I have him.
I got Max, Grant, Mini, Marty.
Ooh, spicy.
I got Mini Max, Marty Grant.
So I will say, I think one thing Max is definitely in the middle of the pack here.
Yeah. Let's go Max.
Yeah.
Anybody hear from him? Supposed to have a baby here like the last day or two. Anybody know if they're okay? Doing good?
Haven't
Haven't
heard
heard
anything.
Okay.
No news.
No news is good news. All right. Well, whenever he listens to it, let him know that we're thinking of him. Hey, Max, I love you.
Love you, Max.
Your team sucks dick. Let's tear it apart. I'm just kidding. It's not bad. It's probably the same as my team.
All right, so I'll kick it out with Max. I mean, Max with the 101 Christian McCaffrey. I agree with Max on that. Like, don't even worry about any of the news. Like, I feel like there were some
He's
things
fine.
of like when he first got like the tweak, it was like, should you avoid this? Take one of the safe wide receivers. I appreciate that he was just like, nah, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. But that love Garrett Wilson this year, unless Rodgers, blows out his other ACL or his other Achilles, then it's kind of a wrap. I think Parker, you were just talking about it though. DK Metcalf, I think he'll have a strong year. I think Max just needs to figure out, what exactly he's going to do with the tight end position, because his current bench tight end is Isaiah Likely, which I'm all
He's
for.
not likely to play that much.
What'd you say?
He's not likely to play that much.
Oh my
God, his
goodness.
ass.
So
You're not a
don't get
dad
me wrong.
yet. You
I
can't be
love
doing
Isaiah
this.
Likely as if you were going to draft and stash him, but
A handcuff.
Max needs to count on him. So that's kind of a tough spot right now that he needs to figure out. Hopefully he has time to do that before Thursday night and he's not in a hospital. But we'll see what happens.
Did Max move him into his IR spot?
No.
So what's he doing? Why doesn't he move him into his IR spot and then just pick up a tight end?
He might be in the hospital, Stan.
Yeah, he
He's
might be
not.
a little busy, Stan.
More important than fantasy football? I don't think so.
I think so. When I looked at Max's team too, I didn't really like. I'm not huge on Anthony Richardson. I understand like how same thing as Justin Fields is like. Regardless of how good you play the quarterback position, you're just a beast for fantasy. But it's just we don't have like the success rate that we saw from Justin Fields. I just think that Richardson was super risky. And then how we talk about you want to do your hero RB, like you can't have better than Chris McCaffrey.
Well,
Probably.
I think we're I don't mean to interrupt, but I think we're all really missing the point here. He has literally 2 running backs on his whole roster.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what I was going to get to. Is like, and then one of them is Rico Dowdle.
Yeah. So
He's got the flash. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so who's in wait? Like who can he pick up right now? Because obviously Max needs to do some roster adjustment here, but I don't think there's a clear.
Antonio
Go-to?
Gibson would be the only one that would make sense that would possibly get him some points.
Algier,
Yeah, I'd take Algier.
I think Algier would be good.
The other one is I think he should put Jordan Mason on his bench as McCaffrey insurance, but that's
Garendo is
just me.
definitely in the handcuff there.
Not even a chance.
But yeah, no, Parker. I mean, you're spot on. Max needs to address what is he going to do at running back here. So, everything else can go pretty well, but you're very thin.
Yeah.
Cool. Anybody else
Yeah.
have anything on Max?
Nothing good to say.
I feel like
I don't understand his draft, but that's Max. I don't understand him half the time.
All right, Max. We'll try to
Love
figure
you,
you
Max.
out here soon, buddy.
all right. What do you guys want to go with? Minnie, Marty?
Let's go, Minnie.
Yeah, I think
haven't been
Minnie
even
is a
highest out of all
step
you guys.
up.
I agree. When I look at Max's team again, and then I look at Minnie's team again, I think I do like Minnie's team a little bit more. I think I like his mix more. I think he has himself in a position to, compete better based off his spread.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
my tough part looking at Minnie's team is like, where's the upside? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of solid players here, but like,
It seems like the
Lot of
most
safe- lot
he
of
can
safe
score
guys.
weekly is like 120 points.
yeah, but like I feel like he'll be like 110 to 120 every week. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
Consistent, safe.
I will say, Travis Kelce at the turn, the 1-2 there. Part of me was thinking about Travis Kelce in the second round. He's a little earlier than I expected him to go, but I still think Travis Kelce has a better year this year. I think he was kind of hurt last year by the lack of other wide receivers and options. And I feel like if you get Marquise Brown gets healthy, Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice, like he's just going to have the whole middle of the field to work. So I think that could work out to be like Travis Kelce back to like a tight end 1 for maybe a last year here.
Now, do you think they're going to do the same strategy they did last year since it worked? Like basically having him play about 70% of his expected snaps. Like his snap totals were down immensely last year, and that was because they were trying to keep him healthy and whole for the playoffs. and he absolutely dominated the playoffs. We know he can do it. But do you think that he won't have the same opportunity just based off of trying to keep him longevity going?
I think it depends how well the team's going to do, because they're not going to keep him out there if the team's 6-0, 7-0. They're going to start dialing him back.
Well, if you remember last year, they needed him. Like, Racey Rice didn't become Rice until, well past the midway point, and they were still holding back Kelsey, it seemed like, playing the long game.
How old is he? 33? 32?
34, 35?
34.
So that's getting old for a skill player.
Yeah, I think the one thing last year, like Kelsey's touchdowns dropped off. He had 12 the year before, and last year he had 5. Granted, targets were down 30, receptions down 20. So, yeah, I mean, the fun part about this year is I think there was actually like 7 or 8 good tight ends to go for. Who could actually like be legit good tight ends this year. I do think Kelsey still has that upside of being like just another wide receiver on your team, or some of these other tight ends who are just really, really good. Might not be that level, but Debo, I think Debo takes a little bit of hit now that IU's back.
Debo
everything's
in the
going to kind of.
first. You liking that? That was Minnie's first round pick.
I mean, personally, no. I wouldn't have done that, but let me jump to the draft and kind of look what his order options were.
Well, and
Kelsey,
I'm looking.
Harrison, Adams, Josh Jacobs, Kupp, Allen, Evans, Hurts, Waddle.
I'm looking at his
I don't hate
week
it, but I
one.
still like Kupp more.
Yeah. I'm looking at his week 1 ratings for all his players. His highest rated player, Travis Kelce, tight end 2. But other than that, it's Brock Purdy as quarterback 17. Is his highest rated player.
How is Debo Samuel below wide receiver 17?
He's wide receiver 21.
Oh, he's playing against the Jets. That's why.
Amari Cooper, wide receiver 22. I mean, he just doesn't have the, like you guys have been saying, he doesn't have the upside of someone that can truly splash.
And I will say, kind of
I
looking
think
back.
Kirk can make up for that.
It's an interesting team. Like I said, I was writing a lot of notes there, and the weed buzz was wearing off. So when I got to Minnie's team, I said I like it.
All right, shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move
to
on.
the clear 2 bottom teams.
Let's get Grant. He took so much just shit and hate. Let's make sure I have him at 11, and that's honestly at 11. I think we all do.
I think he did great with what he had.
He didn't have shit, and he was super aggressive right before the draft, trying to maximize those 7, 8, 9 picks, like ruthlessly.
Can we take a moment to appreciate Grant just having trades ready to roll? It was just like the moment I went on the clock, the one time he's like, "Mark, there's a trade," and I'm like, "It's 3 rounds," and I'm like, I like you could send me anything right now, and I wasn't in any type of state to be like, hold on, let me so I'm moving up here, down here. I was like, what a nut.
Grant, he's always trying to wheel and deal.
For sure. I do like kind of the opposite of what we talked about on the other side, though. Like, I do like some of the Grant's upside plays. Like, I even feel like some of his late dart throws, like Brandon Cooks isn't a bad play. Like, he's still wide receiver 2 in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Mike Williams. What do you guys think of Taysom Hill? That was.
I mean, if you listen to the buzz, he's going to score 25 points a week. He's going to do everything.
I mean, I think it's a good gamble. That's what
He's a
Grant's
perfect
got
tight
to
end
do
for
this year if
Grant's
he
team.
wants to contend. Yeah, like.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for Grant. Like, if things don't work out, he's gonna be selling soon anyway. So you might as well just go for the home runs and see what happens, and then you're just building for next year. So.
All right.
And I
wonder
have
if there's anybody in this league that would pay up to go get Taysom Hill. I think Taysom Hill's more of a play like you're just going for upside because you want to like compete as much as you possibly can.
Watch them use him as like Debo Samuel from a few years ago from the 49ers though, but except for the wide receiver stuff.
How old is Taysom Hill? Isn't he like in his 30s now? He was a
20s,
prospect.
34 from BYU.
34 years old. Fuck him. He ain't doing shit.
Wes, he's been soaking for years. He's good.
So confused. Oh, Stan.
Great state.
I do feel like, has anybody been paid more for less snaps in the NFL?
I mean, he
Backup
provides.
quarterback. That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I mean, one pick, Mike Williams. Mike Williams has a special spot in my heart. He's just one of those players. In the number 2 for Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers can even come back to 80-90% of what he was. Listen, I'm a Mike Williams fan. I always will be. I love Mike Williams.
This is like just two people. You're like, man, they're just a match made in heaven. I
It
love
could be
those
great.
guys.
It could be great.
Yeah. No, I mean Travis Etienne, Puka. I mean Grant's got some solid players. It's just, yeah, it's pretty tough to even fathom him putting together a decent roster here.
I think the shots he did take were the right move at the right positions, taking the upside guys. Like we talked about Jaden Daniels really early. That was a guy that I was definitely targeting in there in the next round, even after I had taken Love. Huge Quentin Johnston. I like him a lot more, I think, than other folks do. Just didn't like. This is a first round draft pick. This is a guy that was drafted very, very highly last year. I drafted him last year, 7th round, I think. And, not every rookie is able to transition like every other, superstar. This guy still has all the talent, and he's going to have all the, attempts to make it there. I just don't see Ladd McConkey as like the dude. So I did like Grant's moves. It's just, and when I sit here too, it's like, how the fuck does Grant have better running backs than Bill? Like that's another reason why I have Bill move down my board so much is like, he's going to have to trade like some shit to Grant over here for like running backs. I'm like, I don't know.
Man, Wes, this is the shit on Bill podcast from you.
Hey man, he's the guy I know the least, so fuck him. No, I'm just kidding. No, Bill's fun. It's just, again, like, he had so much assets there at the beginning of the draft that you were just so excited to see what it was. It's just like, it's like after you see Infinity War and you're like, oh, they're going to bring another one out in Endgames. It's like, yeah, it was good, but like I just expected more.
All right, well, we're gonna cut you off on giving Bill crap. Let's move to the last person here, Marty.
All right, Marty, I got ranked last, right above Bill. Can't stop.
So I think Derrick Henry. I mean, anybody could see him leading the league in touchdowns. Love Evan Ingram as a keeper. There's just not a lot of places you go to on Marty's roster and you're like, look at it and you think, man, that's going to work out great. But I do like some of the late round Jalen Polk. I'm in on Polk. I think he might have a chance to really come along as the season goes. I think there's one key point of the draft that we got to talk about with Marty, and that's when he went Zeke and Dak.
Yeah. Them running backs went quick, man. People got squirrely.
They really did.
I do have to say I have more Dallas players than Marty does. I have 3. He has 2.
So he took Zeke in the 9th round and then Dak in the 10th.
Yeah, which
I think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's funny that we just kind of rolled it back like it was like 2018. Also, what do you guys think of Zeke this year? Like, do you think they're going to give him a decent workload?
No. He was not good in New England. He's not going to be good in Dallas.
He wasn't efficient in New England. He wasn't terrible. He just wasn't efficient. He's just lost a step.
He's going to be the goal line guy. Dowdle will be between the 20s.
Until Dalvin Cook gets up to speed.
Somebody who's really hoping that he doesn't come along is Max, because if he does, Max is in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much to really go over on Marty's team. I mean, Marty obviously sold it for the chip last year, which props to Marty. It's what it's about.
But did he? I mean, Marty's draft board is intact, besides the 2nd round. So he could have done a lot better than what he did. For Grant to have no picks and have a better team than Marty, come on, Marty.
So I guess overall draft. overall draft thoughts, though. I mean, this league, I think Wes and I've talked about this before. It's much more important to have good keepers than it is draft picks.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
That's
like,
right.
Marty
Yeah.
I
didn't
think
come
we've
in with
seen
the
that with Bill,
yeah,
right?
and you're like, I think Grant's
No
a
offense.
decent example of that. Puka and Travis Etienne, and then you can kind of fill out the rest of it in some way,
Yeah, taking big swings on high upside guys.
because I think you can sustain year after year being really, really good if you get the right keeper for the long term, where one draft pick just kind of gives you one decent throw at it where you better hit it.
So
Yeah, I think the keeper aspect to our league has been such a great addition. Obviously, I was the first one to benefit from it, but I still love it.
To finish this up, let's all take a pick on who we think is going to win the championship. Just, I mean, I'll start. I think I'm going to win. I am very happy with my team. I think I'm good to go. I think the guys in front of me didn't do enough to separate. I'm happy. I'm going to win the championship this year. It's been 12 years. I need a championship.
I'll
Stan,
go
have you ever
second.
won
I think
money
I'm
in
gonna
this
win.
league?
What?
Have you ever won money in the league?
Yeah.
Did you? We played for money when you won?
Stan's over here depending on Najee Harris.
May you calm down over there. I'll go second. I think I'm going to win because I'm the hopeless optimistic. I'm going to always try to go for it. I would say the one thing that I would hope for this year is that people give their teams a chance. You can look. We'll use Grant as an example again. I know he was a whipping boy all offseason, but he was the highest ranked team last year, and he went out and made some huge swings, and he got the paralysis by analysis. He wasn't able to set his lineups and stuff, and then the wrong injuries happened in the wrong positions, and then he sold the boat basically for nothing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if I have who's going to win it this year. I think we went over who we think are true contenders. I think the weird part of our league now is it feels like people make the move all in or kind of all out, like you're talking about, Wes. I will say, I've had Jamar Chase in the 9th round his rookie year, 7th, 5th, 3rd now. It's kind of now or never for me to capitalize on this one. So
remember,
So you're
Swan
picking
had
yourself.
Justin Jefferson,
So-
Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb for 3 years in a row.
yeah, I will be going in when it's possible to go in this year because I think the rest of the squad's pretty good.
All right, Mark's a buyer. Heard.
All right, Parker, you finish us off.
Well, I mean, I guess I got to go along with you, the 3 others, and say I'm going to win this year. But if I'm going to give a real pick, I actually think this might be the year that Brad pulls it off. I like his squad.
Yeah.
I think he has a really low floor, or really high floor.
Brad Bannis.
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
If I mean Brad Swan, I'm going to say Swan.
Yeah, got you. Because you had Swan ranked
Brad
higher
and
than
Jason.
Bannis. That's why I'm asking.
I know, but I just think that Swan might be a little too volatile, and Brad and Jason just have a higher floor, and I think they're going to make probably the moves necessary to get them where they need to go. So if I had to pick somebody besides myself, I would pick Brad and Jason.
I think Brad Bannis is a really good pick. I think after we went through those rankings, it was really, really hard not to push him up even higher.
Yeah.
Great. All right, guys. Well, Parker, do you want to try to play another video on the outro, or do you want to not?
I'll
right.
save us the time.
Well, thanks, guys.
We all know how, obviously there's a reason why the 2 guys, 1 podcast didn't keep it going along, and you saw the reason why in the intro. Not very
Technical
tech-savvy,
difficulties.
So leave it at that.
It doesn't help when I move to Arkansas and I travel for a living either.
Dan, let's be, that's nice of you to say, but that failed way before you moved to Arkansas, buddy. Okay?
But I was still traveling for work at that
way
point.
before you moved to Arkansas.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for jumping on. I know we at least wanted to jump on and talk about the draft a little bit and have some fun with it. But good luck to everybody, and let's have another fun year.
Hey guys,
All right,
it was
see you,
awesome
boys.
getting to catch up for a second night here this week. Looking forward to getting to talk and shoot the shit again. Football's back. We got football in 2 days, guys.
terrifying.
All right. Thanks,
Sounds
guys.
fun. We'll see you
See
guys.
ya.